Welcome to Derry is finally out. Was it worth the wait? How does this Losers Club stack up against the movies? And how many of these characters that we are going to fall in love with are they going to kill off? Plus, how many Easter eggs did you catch? All that on more on the next episode of Unbinged starting now. Welcome to Unbinged, podcast where we like to break down all the shows and movies that we are binging. I am Sam Holt, of course, joined as always by Matt Kaufhammer, Alfredo Brown, and Jagger May. Guys, we have so much to unpack with this first episode of It Welcome to Derry. But first, let's get that spoiler warning cough.
This is your one and only spoiler warning that we'll be talking everything It, from the novel to the movies to the TV show.
Guys, first question to kick us off. It's probably what everyone's talking about most. Looks like they're going to be killing off every single character that we come to love immediately in this show. Lots to digest here. I want to first lead this off, of course, with the little extra bit after the episode where Andy Muschietti, the director, gave us a little explanation as to why he chose to kill off all of the kids, or at least a good chunk of them, to begin this episode. He felt it was important because he wants viewers to know that no one is safe in this world. Koff, I want to kick it to you first. We've done a deep dive, book, movies. Now we've got this first episode. How do you feel about this direction?
Honestly, I loved it. I was pretty surprised when it happened in the show because the whole episode, I'm like, okay, we're going to get a new Losers Club. They're kind of do a rehash of what we've already seen. And maybe at the end of the season, they'll all die or they'll fail somehow, right? And then this ending happened and I was blown away. When she has the Susie, God, poor Susie, when she has her arm in her hand at the end of the episode, I was literally, my jaw was on the floor because to have that beginning, the opening scene I watched twice in a row. I had to rewind it and rewatch it. And then to have that end cap, I was blown away by the direction and the writing of the balls of these show creators to do this. And it's really giving us this feeling that, like you said, like Andy said, no one is safe in this story. It's I don't know where they're going to go next with this. And I'm excited because I cannot really predict what they're going to do. And that makes me very excited as a viewer.
Jagger, how about you?
Yeah, it felt like we need new shows to compare because I always say this. It felt like Game of Thrones when it was good, because that came out of nowhere. I'm like, fuck, they just murked them kids. They didn't even care, dude. They made a mutant baby and that baby snacked on other children. It was quite beautiful. I loved everything from like the choice of "You Got Trouble" from the Music Man. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. Very poignant. I again appreciate that even though this is from source material, I feel like it's going to expand on it enough to where this is going to be fresh for everyone, especially like the Koffs of the world who are huge Stephen King fans.
Awesome. Alfredo.
Yeah. That's the big thing, is keeping it fresh, right? Because this is the type of shit that we complain about all the time. Oh, it's just the same thing over and over. They're just running it back, ball up top. Let's get 6 kids over here that through the power of friendship and no fear can defeat Pennywise. And it's like, no, guys, don't go to the movies alone without your parents because you die.
Especially stealing. We'll call the cops on you, you poor little fuck.
That's right. This did such a good job with these bookend scenes of setting the tone for this show. And if that's what the first episode is supposed to do, set the tone, get you excited for what is to come, it absolutely succeeded with that. Like, I'm so glad they did this. This was a good choice. And funny enough, some of the kids I liked in that group, but I watched this with my wife and she was like, oh, thank God they killed the Iris kid because I just wasn't vibing with it. And she was just like, I didn't want to have to sit here and watch him for however many episodes. She didn't love him. I'm not criticizing child actors. That's my wife. She's not on the podcast.
Homie was depressed and she's like, get him out of here.
She didn't want that. She wanted happiness in this horror drama that we're going to have.
So
his friend was murdered.
You're upset by a skin lamp? Act like a man.
Right.
Going on full Godfather. I want to act like a man.
Skin lamp, and then I just finished watching Ed Gein Monster, so I was like,
Same.
oh, I love a little, skin lamp callback. But I do think I'm in agreement with all of you in terms of the importance of the direction they're taking this. We have the movies where, spoiler alert, at the end of chapter 2, they do end up getting it and killing whatever this being is. So we don't need that solve in this show. And we're actually intentionally going backwards to see all the different important eras where it has played a factor over these specific decades. And so it's important to know you're going to continue to go backwards. So there's not going to be a happy ending at the end of this season. There just isn't. And the next season, there's not a happy ending. And spoiler alert, the next one they're doing is not going to be a happy ending. There will be no happy ending. If you want that, go watch the movies, because then eventually, after all the gore and horror, you're going to see all this stuff come to an end. But you're not getting it in the series.
This really flips everything that we've come to know and love with it, because it's always been, oh, who's going to survive, right? And that's the same thing we get into with all these other shows. I'm going to go back for a second to a show like The White Lotus, where you're wondering,
Damn it,
who is going to die and why? And this really, sorry, Jag, I stole your shit. It's less about like people dying and more of who and why and how. Because like, I mean, yeah, it's who survives, why these kids die or why these people die, how it happens. And it just actually goes back to just being all about the story and less about will they make it. Because that kind of just gets boring of the same thing over and over. Is will they defeat the monster? Find out on the next episode. Now it's like, no, you won't. Let's see what the actual good story is.
Yeah, I was going to say it's reverse White Lotus. You know, I'm just like, which one of these little fucks might make it out so they can write a little thing so Mike Hanlon can read, you know, because I feel like that's what we're going to get is who survives and who adds to the lore of Pennywise, because obviously we need somebody to go tell the tale, or at least
older
somebody
brother for Teddy Uris, who's just like, yo, I'm so ashamed to have you as my brother.
Dude, that was nuts, man. Like, and I get it as like old black people will do that too. They're like, fear the white man, they'll kill you. Like it's just like right away. He was just like, he's like, you're asking about some shit like that. I was like, do you know what happened to our ancestors? Basically spitting his food. Then homie had a nightmare and his brother comes in and is like, pussy, you know, and then you're going to get snacked on by a baby. Like, you want to talk that, like, I feel bad for homie, dude. The Uris family is
How does
not
that family
blessed.
not move? How do they?
Yeah,
they're cursed.
Yeah, they are not
stuck. Families stay. Then I'm gonna let Koff be the one that goes into the book, because your memory on that is so much better than mine. And Alfredo can't read. So I mean, when it goes into the lore of families and how they stay, the reason why they can't solve this problem is because after 27 years, people choose to forget, or forgetting is a part of the curse of the people that do stay. But before we get into more of that, because there's clearly so much more we need to talk about, Alfredo, let's give a little bit of love to some of our viewers and listeners.
Yes, we finally have the winner of our $200 Amazon gift card giveaway. And a big thanks to West Somerviller, who left a lovely 5-star review. Get in contact with us, unbingedpodcast@gmail.com, and we're going to get that $200 gift card out to you right away. But guys, there's a bunch of reasons that you want to subscribe and join us each week for this show. It's not just Welcome to Derry, but we're going to be watching Pluribus on Apple TV. Stranger Things is coming up, and that's just going to be like a wild release time where it's Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's Eve. So if you want to go ignore your family, come hang out with some other people and just watch some cool shit on YouTube, like, you know, back in 2006 when that's all we would do is watch cool shit on YouTube, come join us and hang out with us for a little bit. And then everyone I know is really excited about Fallout coming out in December. So yeah, join us for that one.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Alfredo. Now, guys, I rearranged some of the questions because we're talking already so much about the world building, and I want to keep getting into it. Muschietti is clearly intending to build on more to just the world of it. He's leaning fully into the Stephen King world, and there's a lot of other books and films that go into that. And in the first episode, I caught only a couple Easter eggs, but maybe that's because I was so sad that my Steelers lost that I wasn't focused everywhere. But I'm sure that you guys caught everything instead. So, Alfredo, I want to kick it to you. What was your favorite Easter egg that you saw in this one?
Oh, man. You know what? Before we got I'm just going to pick one. I'm just going to pick one because there was a couple of them that were standing out. I'm going to take one that probably neither of these guys are going to say. But it was seeing the Uris kid's locker saying urine, being called Ted Urine. And like that immediately, before it even got revealed who he was, I was like, huh. I wonder if he's related to Stanley Uris. And then immediately I was like, that paid off. Cool. So it's just it's even the most minor of things. I'm going to steal one more. Being back in the bathroom stall where Beverly Marsh got attacked by like the other girls, like just those little it's those like those like tent pole moments from it and being back in those little cornerstone areas. It really it brought all the vibes back to Derry.
Love that.
So,
Cough, you're itching to go.
Yep. Sorry. So to jump, I'm gonna pick a different one, but
Coug's gonna be
Alfredo
like,
with
actually, that wasn't the
no, no, no,
bathroom
no,
stall. It was
no,
the
no,
one
no,
next
the
to it.
no, the bathroom stall. There is a little heart with the name. God damn it! Now I'm forgetting it. But basically, Beverly's dad's name was in the heart, so in the bathroom stall. So it connects. So it connects to what you're saying, Alfredo. So the bathroom stall with Beverly, his father's name's in there as a heart. So it's possible that Anyway, mine was the references.
Bev's dad got headed that stall. Like,
God.
He was writing it on the wall as it was. He just loved him some
Yeah,
him. No one else even wrote it.
But I love the references to the turtles. And this is more like a novel thing. In the novel, it's much more pointed out that Pennywise is a cosmic being that we can't really comprehend, and it's a physical embodiment of that on Earth. That's what came down millions of years ago, buried itself underneath Derry, and the town has grown up around this cosmic being. But it has a opposite cosmic being that is like a force of good called Maturin, which is a giant turtle. And so it's referenced in the novels a bunch. So having those little poignant moments of like Bert the Turtle talk about like of duck and cover if there's a nuclear bomb attack, and then the little charm that Lily gets from Maddie Clements, I thought those were really, really nice little moments for book readers. Because it's referenced a little bit in the movies, but not much. In the book,
Yeah.
it's
she's
a
the only
much
one
bigger
in
point.
that theater who had a turtle on her.
And
Think
she
about
survives, right?
And she survived.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, Kov. I had the audiobook on. I did not pay attention. So I did not notice any of the turtles or anything like that.
I mean, I've read it like 4 times, so.
Jagger finished and he's like,
Reading
"It's a fucking
comprehension,
turtle?"
boys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I
Reading
was like, who the
comprehension
fuck is
lesson for
turtle?
Jagger, and then Alfredo just needs to learn to read.
I'll get there.
No. Jagger reads. It's just Jagger can't
Comprehension.
comprehend Stephen
Yeah, that's what I
King.
said. That's what I just said. Listen,
Okay.
reading comprehension.
See,
more
I clearly
cocaine.
don't listen, Sam.
didn't
This
even
is what
retain
I'm
my
saying. You
question.
sounded a lot like Stephen King right now. You're sounding a lot like Stephen King.
Oh my God.
A few more N-words, Sam, and you are basically Stephen King.
Exactly.
Weird sex scenes in the N word. That's Stephen King to a T.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
I guess it's mine. Of my favorite Easter egg. Mine was the projector, like the whole film, because I think that was one of the scariest moments in it when they're looking at the shit, the projector,
in
and
the
it comes
garage,
through
right?
it. Yeah. So like having that throwback in an entire theater, again to one of my favorite songs was just Chef's Kiss.
Yo, when he threw the baby out the screen, I almost like jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh fuck.
That's the only rational thing he did. He's like, "You want this baby? The fuck." I'd be like, "Yo, this is nuts." And it's like foisted on my friends.
Yeah, man.
Gosh.
This was a very pro-choice episode. Just gonna throw that out there.
Okay. That's a. I don't.
Sam's like, I got
Just
nothing.
shove past it, Sam. Just shove
I got
past it.
nothing.
It's,
Anyways, Easter eggs. Okay. Back to that.
Live birth on screen.
Live birth on screen. I think that it's not really an Easter egg because when you watch the after the episode, you also, if you caught the other little clip, you do get to see what this season is going to entail, and we're very aware that we're going to be getting a lot of Dick Halloran's character, the character from The Shining, using his shining gift. So episode 1, you just see the name tag, and I got way too excited. And as soon as the episode ended, I was like, there's gotta be extras. And of course there was, because you guys know I have to look to the back of the page. That's just how I am. But I feel like if people are tuning in for our show, everyone else is going to be the exact same type of person. So I'm very excited to see how they layer in The Shining and what that brings into as an element going forward in this series. I mean, let's kind of dive back into this question more, because this is world building. And I want to talk about the type of things that we're supposed to expect from Stephen King. So, Koff, I'm going to kick this to you as our Stephen King expert in terms of how we expect this world to continue to grow, knowing that parts of The Shining, elements of that are going to be in it. And there's other books too. So I'm just curious to see where you think that's going to take us.
So what I'm hopeful for, and I don't know if it's going to happen because it's a different studio supposedly developing it, but Stephen King's magnum opus is a series of books called the Dark Tower series. It's 7, 8 if you count like an extra one, that basically tie in a bunch of his other novels into this one like cinematic universe, if you will, where they're all kind of tangentially connected because there's different like it's almost like a multiverse. So what I'm hoping is we get some more of those references, and maybe that could build to a Dark Tower series down the line, whether it's HBO or I think Amazon currently has the rights to it. Develop it. I want to see that kind of get connected and see some of those references, maybe to a Roland of Disdain, maybe to the Crimson King. I want to see a little bit more of that structure, so that way I, as a Stephen King nerd, can get excited for something down the road too.
I love that. Jagger, what are you wanting to see more of this world as we begin to explore and see what they're adding into it?
Like Koff, I love the show Castle Rock, so I want to go backwards where he wants to go forwards in connection. I want connections with Castle Rock because like Bill Skarsgård is our quote unquote like Stephen King demon. And like Koff, correct me on this, but as far as I'm understanding, like the theory is that this same being is like the villain in every book. He's just different forms. Am I correct, or is that just like a far-fetched idea?
Kinda, sorta. It's hard because King for the longest time was heavily into cocaine, so a lot of his ideas
For sure.
kind of
Who
make
wasn't,
sense.
you know?
If you jam them together, they kind of make sense. But a lot of it, he has to retcon some of his stuff. So there is like there's a few different characters that kind of pop up in a bunch of his stories. One of which is the Crimson King. Randall Flagg is another one, or Walter. He goes by a bunch of different names. But this idea of like this cosmic entity that is an embodiment of evil is a pretty through line of a lot of his stories. So while it may not be Pennywise specifically, it's like elements of Pennywise or aspects of Pennywise.
TLDR, I just want to see more shit connected so Bill Skarsgård can continue to be the spookiest nigga in Hollywood. That's basically...
So we're just going to get the Stephen King verse, and Bill Skarsgård is basically the Thanos of it.
Exactly.
Kinda.
Constantly snapping
He's
kids.
he's more
Just
like the one above all.
So we get to the last episode, it's on your left, and Finn Wolfhard just comes crashing through a portal. Is that what you're hoping for?
Yeah, dog. That's exactly what I want. It's just like, on your left, Cap. And then it's Eleven's hand coming through the portal.
Alfredo, is that what you're looking for when you want to see more of this, or how much are you looking to get out of this
Sam,
series?
I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you let me be passenger princess on the episodes. Is I just derail shit because I don't have
I'm
to
noticing.
be in charge of keeping things coordinated. I'm just sitting here going, all right, how am I going to fuck up Sam's day now?
He's the kid in the back of the classroom spitting spitballs at people.
Yeah, of course. I would just say this, like, for me as a person who I haven't seen any of the other shows, like Castle Rock, I haven't read any of the other books, I am not well versed in the Stephen King universe. I want something from this that's actually going to bridge the gap and make me say I have to go see those other things. So like, what's the character's name? Dick Halloran? Make him as intriguing as possible. That makes me want to go, damn, I have to watch every movie and read all the books from the Stephen King universe. Maybe less N-words that I can get through them. But, it's just, I want that excitement. And I don't just want the things that make me go, oh, cool, I remember that from the It movies. I want the thing that will expand.
Yeah. You've seen The Shining, though, right?
I was about to ask that. You skirted around it.
I have not. It has been one of those. It is.
This guy.
Take it easy.
Kick him off the podcast.
I've actually been to that hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
Who hasn't? I live there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cough don't. Like you've been there too. Fuck.
I've seen pictures.
Cool. No, so it's been one of those things that like I want to get into the whole Stephen King universe, but like we talked about this. I wanted to sit down and watch The Shining, Castle Rock, all these other things, and I was trying to do that in preparation for it. We've been watching so many shows, and with the NFL season, it just hasn't made sense for me to be able to do that. But that's the excitement I want from this. Is that even outside of spooky season, I'm like, fuck you, Thanksgiving. I'm gonna keep watching some Stephen King stuff. That's what I want.
Actually, that it's cool that we have all kinds of perspective because we have expert level. We have I showed up to the group project but didn't do anything. That's me. Then there's Sam, and then there's Alfredo who didn't even show
We
up.
had a project?
To the meeting. Exactly.
Still got it.
Presenting today.
Fuck it, I'll wing it.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I think I'm looking forward to all of these things and everything connecting. I have seen The Shining, so I'm really excited to see more of Dick Halloran's character because it was very interesting. I hadn't read the book, but I watched the movie. I watched the movie, and I really enjoyed what that gift was, The Shining was. So I'm excited to see how they try to bring that in to this series, and I just think there's so many fun elements. And just really quickly, Koff, because you're so into the books and you know so much of this lore. How do you feel about the take that the internet has that Pennywise is just a Bogart from the Harry Potter world that's ended up in the US, and these poor humans
Fuck
don't have
that.
wands and magic.
Truer statement.
Bro,
With
has
the
never been
amount
said.
of hateful rhetoric that's in
Pennywise.
Stephen King's
I'm just-
book,
I had
I
to
can
ask.
believe that they're in the same universe as J.K. Rowling.
You know what? Good play, Jag.
She is
Good play,
kidding.
Jagger. So
Saying.
to make Pennywise
To
just
end
a
it?
mere Bogart is kind of an affront to me as a fan of Stephen King. Like that's some bullshit. Fuck that
I had
shit.
to ask.
No, he's much more powerful.
And I
He is
took
a,
that personally.
I did. He is a literal cosmic entity that our brains cannot comprehend. The whole point in the movies when
So
he
is a
opens his mouth-
Bogart. If you read in
Fuck
Harry
that shit.
Potter,
No, no,
Okay.
a Bogart's just a goddamn little fucking closet demon.
Oh, man,
But
he got
when the
worked over by a
deadlights,
couple of kids. I'm just gonna say that.
sure, with the help of anyway. But when
He
when
got the 1-2s from
Pennywise-
Beverly Marsh, and it was over.
Bro, when Pennywise opens his mouth and you see those little dancing lights, the dead lights, that's his true form. That's what drives people insane because we cannot comprehend this entity of cosmic evil. And a Bogart can't do that. A Bogart just becomes your worst fear, and then you laugh at it and he runs away. Pennywise, you gotta do a little bit more than that.
you got to call him a pussy. Yeah, you little
Yeah.
weak ass
Gotta
bitch.
tell
You
him
gotta
his
stomp
face.
on him. You gotta stomp
Yeah.
on him a little bit.
You show
Amazing.
up, give Pennywise a cuck chair. You're like,
And
here,
no-
sit
so
down,
the-
little bitch.
One more point about that scene. So the reason that the Losers Club were successful in that scene is because all of them confronted him together, so he could not pick a single target to transform into their fear. So he literally got pinballed around all of them, and it literally used its own powers against him, and that's why they were able to then make him feel small, because they were literally being like, hey, over here, over here, over here, over here. So
Sounds a
you
lot
know.
like the Prisoner of Azkaban, but okay.
fuck Harry Potter.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to poke the bear, but I had to ask Koff because I saw it online and I was like,
fair.
well, I gotta
It's
ask
fair.
him on the pod. So
The internet's stupid.
All right.
I hate it.
it's a fun place. You just have to know where to find your people. All right, we're talking about the world building, and I didn't want to go into this in the last question because I wanted a whole question on its own. What is going on at this military base? They're clearly building something up there for us. Jagger, I want to throw this question to you right off the bat. There's a lot of mystery, and we don't even get a ton in the little extra clips of what's totally going on. We just know that the military is searching for something. Did that pique your interest at all?
It felt very Stranger Thingsy, but I know Stranger Things was like the copy. Actually, the one part I paid attention in this book was with the military shit, and it was 5 too many N-words like, that I just heard, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here? So I kind of locked in on it. So like, I have no clue what is going on, but I know that it could just be they're building jets or whatever, you know? Like, if anything, I think what's brewing over there is racism, because like what actually was happening with well, we're building this and this, I didn't give a shit about any of that. I was just like, oh, homie Colonel setting his ass up. I just know it. But I'm paranoid though.
mean
That's
Dexter's
where
dad?
I'm at is, yeah, dude, say or homie from the Warriors, whatever. Or you remember in like Mortal Kombat 2 when they made
Yes.
him Raiden?
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
White
Yes. the White
Wait,
Raiden. Yeah, I will never forgive them for that, even though it's like low-key hilarious. But yeah, that's what I think is happening. It's set up to, and especially if you understand, and I do know this about how it works, Pennywise works, and the cosmic entity, as Koff likes to say, is that he really heightens that hate there. So like to me, all that base is a pressure cooker for our dear Leroy Hanlon.
Our dear Leroy Hanlon. Alfredo, same for you.
Yeah, this to me, I'm curious because like there was a moment there where they were talking about like they sort of suspect or know that there's something that they are searching for there in that town that is a little unnatural. I can't remember the exact verbiage that they use in this, but this does sort of feel like it's going to be our one time that we're looking at resources and connections outside of Derry. And them
Side of
and,
6 kids.
yeah. Well, and then kind of like being like, oh, there is something that's pretty unnatural about this place. Let's just not fuck with it ever again. It's almost kind of like a very random reference, but I was watching The Avengers the other day, and there's like a moment where I guess whoever Nick Fury reports to wants to just nuke New York when Loki and all these guys are the Chitauri are attacking. And it almost feels similar to that, where they're not going to be like, all right, let's just nuke Derry. They're just going to be like, you know what? Let's just not come back here anymore. And let's not deal with this. Because I'm
That's
pretty
what
sure
I do.
it feels like one of those things where they're going to have a lot of those are the restricted files. We don't talk about what happened at the military base in Derry. And they're just going to move on from it. Never talk about those deaths again. Never talk about what they found there. Like an Area 51 type deal.
Gotcha.
Right.
Cuff.
So I did watch the what's to come on the season, and it seems very much like the special projects is them trying to find this entity and try to weaponize it against the Russians, because they do mention that 7-hour flight over the Atlantic or over the Arctic, and Russia's right there. So while they're using the cover of these new B-52s as the reason for the space being here and constructing those, I think the real reason is they're trying to find it and Pennywise and weaponize it, which why?
Could
That
you
seems like
imagine?
a very fucking dumb idea.
Can you
You're gonna
imagine?
shoot a
They
clown
just
at
put the
someone?
hand up and they try to control it like the Raptors in
Yeah,
the
honestly.
Jurassic World.
Oh my
So,
God.
but I think what's really interesting though is because they're doing these seasons in reverse chronological order, we are seeing the end result of like the other two instances we're going to see in the later seasons of the U.S. military or the government being like, "Hey, some fuck shit's happening in this little town in Derry, Maine. Let's go figure out what's going on there and see if we can use it against the Russians," which is a fucking terrible idea. But I think that's also why Dick Halloran is there, is because the colonel or general knows about his special shining ability and wants to use that as a way to find Pennywise. And I think it's going to go
You tell me the U.S.
horribly
government,
wrong.
it's like we're gonna beat Russia with magical black men.
It's
Like, Koff, you've been
So-
shooting from half court. You've been shooting from half court. This might be the opposite free throw.
so no. This listen. So there's a story by Stephen King called The Mist, which they did make into a movie. Which the premise
Okay.
is the military's
Jane.
doing. Yep, the
was not
military's
good.
doing some secret. The movie's great. Shut up. The secret military base is doing some crazy fuck shit with portals, and oops, we accidentally opened a portal to a monster dimension, and now they're all loose. So I could see that being a slight reference in this show, or it could be a reference to how the Nazis used occult magic or try to use occult magic in World War II. Maybe, but
Indiana
definitely, I think.
Jones. I've seen it.
Yep.
That's
So I
what I was
definitely
going to
think this
say.
could be
Very Indiana Jones.
This could definitely be a thing where it's like the government thinks they have an idea what's going on, and oh god, it's so much worse, and it's gonna cause a lot of fucking crazy shit.
I think it's interesting that everyone's calling out references because, I mean, for me, this immediately gave Indiana Jones vibes of, okay, the military's trying to do something and weaponize some magical entity to do something crazy. Jagger, you mentioned Stranger Things has that kind of vibe about it. Do you guys feel like Andy Muschietti is intentionally grabbing onto some of these things in order to build this world, but given the first episode ends with killing off a bunch of the characters that you're supposed to maybe start to like, do you think he's going to try to invert what we expect given those normal storylines? And I'll throw this one to you, Alfredo.
I don't think he's going to intentionally do that so much. I think he's going to do that with certain aspects where he has that liberty, right? Like, I don't think he's going to totally undo things that happen in the books or retcon anything that happens from his movies. But Andy Muschietti, like, really seems like he sort of wants to be the James Gunn of the Stephen King universe, and like, fuck it, I'm gonna make all the shows and all the movies. And you know what? He's doing a good job. Like,
It's the
I'll
one
allow
thing
it.
he can do right. He can't
It's
do
him and Mike
Flash.
Flanagan. It's him and Mike Flanagan.
Yeah. Man, this gave me a little bit of hope too, by the way, that like he might actually do well with the Batman movie. We'll see.
No.
I
You fucked
know,
up, dog.
I
You're
know.
in timeout. You need to sit this one out. It's where you
Dude,
gotta sit
I
out
was
a
so
couple of
against
plays.
it, man, because he really screwed up the Flash.
God.
But yeah,
Did
it
he, or was
does
it the
seem like
studio?
he.
Yes.
Yes, both of them. Yeah, but it does seem like he's doing a little bit of that more so for the. He has to prove that this show matters to viewers that have liked the movies and have loved other things from Stephen King. How do you do that? Get some shock value that gives actual payoff later, and by subverting our expectations in this episode 1, like fuck it, kill all the new Losers Club that we see here, which we should have known was going to happen because likely not many people survived through this. We should have seen that coming, but I think it'll be used hopefully sparingly.
Hopefully. But Jagger, how about for you in terms of how they're building all these different elements?
I'm okay with the nostalgia bait as long as it's fresh. Like right now, I don't have an opinion because it's all set up, but I don't want member berries. You know, like that's not what I want, and I don't think like again, when we look at the spectrum of us as how big of fans we are of this media, I don't think any of us just want a bunch of member berries. Like I've had 10 years of Stranger Things. I don't need an additional new Stranger Things because one is ending. So I just want to move towards, and I want him to stick with the cosmic shining, all that shit. I need like the whole military aspect. I actually want very little of. I don't want Indiana Jones or Hellboy or any of that shit. I honestly, I know it sounds fucked up. I want Leroy Halloran to go there, experience racism, and then let's open up a bar, and I want him to get to the chorus is where I'm at, you know, like for that's who I've read that book. And that's the one part I've read because of the racism. I could not ignore it. So
Cough.
Yeah, right. Like Jack said, I don't want member berries because that's what the Dark Tower movie was. They tried to shove 7 books worth of content into one movie, and anyway.
I thought it was dope. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you, dog. I wanted to try.
Oh boy. Okay.
Loved it. Pinnacle of film.
Okay. All right. Let me come now. So I just want them to make sense with the story, and like you said, I don't want them to retcon anything from the movies they've already established. I want to have setup and payoff, and I want to make sense between. What I am most worried about is this military through line. If it could go really dumb really quick. So like you said, Jack, I hope it's more of like a D plot and we get very little of it, and it's just there to
Or
help
it's setting.
heighten.
Like it's just a setting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just there to heighten some of the characters like Hanlon, like Dick Halloran. Because their part in the book was more of them overcoming as a group of black men the inherent racism in the U.S. military and creating their own space, and then Pennywise turning the dials up to 11 and having everything crash down on top of them. So I am worried about this military through line. I really hope that we don't fumble the bag here at the end, because we had such a great beginning with this first episode. I am so hyped for this season now because of how they bookended this episode with horror and horror. And so I want them to keep that as the theme and not go off into like, oh, the U.S. military is trying to do something.
Question, Koff. Did Leroy Hanlon have ranking in the book? I don't really remember. Did they mention that? I just remember him digging a hole and him like bitching.
Right. I don't remember if he, I don't think he, I don't remember.
Because I thought he was just a plebe that just, because like to me, I was shocked that he had any rank in the military.
He had a commissioned officer. I don't think he was a commissioned officer in the book. I could be wrong.
That is some very 2025 shit. And I don't,
right.
Again, guys,
honestly,
I'm not trying to be a hater, but
I agree. The scene where they introduced him to everybody and only one guy was racist to him, I was like, I don't know. In 1962, I think all of them would be like that.
And I may sound terrible. I'm like, don't do that shit for me. I know how it was back then. Just be honest about it. You know, where like homie would have been a commissioned officer. Let's put it that way. And if they did give it to him, they would try to make him quit as soon as possible. Especially the old head above him. Like, well, my grandpa loved this country. Yeah, the general. Yep. That's why I think the general set his ass up. I just don't buy any of this shit. So,
who do you guys think the guys in the black mask were that attacked him? You think those are Russian
agents?
The
fucking general and homeboy. Okay. Yes. Okay. The general knew about the B-52 shit. Like, I just he was testing him. Like, you going to snitch on me? Blah, blah. Yeah.
So you feel like that whole thing was just a test scene?
A test to get him kicked out, as in, like, let's test that nigga's patience and kill him.
So we can court-martial him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He revealed secrets to the enemy. We got to get rid of him. Yeah. That's how it played. That's how it read for me too, Jared.
I didn't put that together, but I mean, I definitely enjoyed that take. You guys talked a lot about bookending. There's a lot of visual, really beautiful cues in this first episode, and I think that's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about this, because visually and artistically, there's a draw to this entire series. And when you're going into something like this, I think that as viewers, we want to see something that has payoff consistently. And what I mean by that is the effects, but also the storytelling visually. And I caught a few things myself, and I want to see what you guys caught in terms of, you know, whether it was the real life versus the CGI, in terms of how the special effects and all of those little moments. I want to get your guys' take on how this is set up, because this was a lot. This was a bookended. You started in the movie theater, you ended there. You've kind of got smaller spaces, and we haven't gone into the entire town yet. So, Jagger, I want to kick this one to you in terms of how you felt watching this visually, what it did for you.
From the beginning, you got, and this is a lot of paying attention to the set and like getting into some like real film bro stuff. Mm-hmm. You get a sense that Derry's a trap, even more so than any other Stephen King thing. And that's both literal and figurative in there, where like homie saw the welcome to Derry sign, got picked up by whatever the fuck that family is. I don't even know if that family was real.
No.
Or that was Pennywise. You don't think they were real?
I don't. No, we saw the little boy, that one that was spelling things out, like his eyes did the Pennywise thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that, but like, can he like possess other people to make them do that, or like, well,
like remember he was the old woman in It Chapter 2.
That's true.
And he changed the way the entire apartment looked, like the entire building. Right. It was everything.
That's true.
Was different.
Kind of speaks to more of the entity that Cop is saying.
He's not just a Bogart. So the reason that family picked up Maddie, whatever, I don't give a fuck. The reason that Maddie Clements saw this perfect nuclear family picking up is because that's what he was missing from his own life. We get that one line from Ronnie's dad where he's like, have you heard about Maddie Clements' family? They're kind of horrible. So the reason he was sneaking off to the theater and sucking on the pacifier is because he was infantilized and because he had a bad home life. So Pennywise a lot of times will use something innocent seeming as a way to draw in a victim and then change it to something horrifying. Like we saw in Chapter 2 with the little girl under the bleachers. Well, not just that, but the little girl had the birthmark. And Pennywise is like, oh, I'm also deformed. Like, want to be my friend? That's when she drops her guard. So the same thing with Maddie Clements where... Yeah. So the same thing with Maddie Clements is where he gets picked up by what he seems as the perfect family, and then it turns horrifying as he goes along. And it's all because Pennywise, the way he feeds is not just off of general fear, but terror. And so he wants to heighten that terror as much as possible to make the meal as good for him as he can.
Yeah. I like the way the book references it, where they say it's like putting salt on the meat. When they have that terror, it like really seasons the meat,
flavors
for him,
them,
which is just crazy,
horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Jagger, did you have another thought there?
I was gonna say, just to wrap up your question, that's kind of what it is. Like, I want this. The setup has been that this town is inescapable, and the only thing that we know, the only one that we confirmed escapes is Dick Halloran. Mm-hmm. Like, we know that he leaves just to get got somewhere else later, but like that's basically what I want to view from this. I want to see an inescapable shithole town that is sad, not only because of Pennywise, but because of the vibe that Pennywise puts out, to use some very Gen Z vernacular or something.
It's a
like
it's a dark
like
shroud
he's just
that he puts over the town.
yeah, he's a bad vibe machine. He just kind of puts bad vibes out there, and all of a sudden you want to hit your kids and shit like that. So,
Sam,
Alfredo, you got
I
something?
want to, yeah, I want to answer your question, but like also give you a question because you're our creature person here.
Sure.
And I think this is sort of perfect too, because with this, we did not see Pennywise in this episode. From the movies to the show, I haven't always been a huge fan of the CGI and the way it has looked. Like I know this like weird mutant baby thing was supposed to be terrifying. Me watching, I don't see it as terrifying. I see Pennywise as genuinely terrifying every time he's on screen, even just standing there smiling. Absolutely terrifying. So, like, what I want to know here is how much Pennywise do we need for the show to be successful? Because this first episode was very good and there was no Pennywise, right? So, like, how much do we need? Are we going to need him in every episode from here on out? If we only get him in, like, maybe the last 2 or 3 episodes, is that enough? Like, can you have an It Welcome to Derry show without it being prominently shown?
what is it? Is another
So
thing.
it is the entire entity that Koff has mentioned. So it turns into your deepest fears and feeds off of those things.
But we
So
know.
for we
Like,
do.
like your mug isn't the 3 lights, right? Like it's
I
the
mean,
clown.
sure. No, it's the clown. We all want to see the clown, obviously. But I think that what they're doing such a good job in with the story, with the visuals, with the way that they're building everything, they're playing into the parts of Pennywise that make him the scariest without even having to see him. And what good horror does is makes you afraid of something that you can't see. And that's what I feel like this episode did really well. We didn't see Pennywise, but we saw so many elements of him that are so terrifying. And even in that last movie theater scene, as they're going into it, and in different parts of the episode, there were little red lights, single red lights, little odes to Little Red Balloon that we saw throughout, that you know that Pennywise is coming. And that's visually what I'm most excited about, is these little telltale signs that tell you something's about to go askew. Koff, you've got something to add?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Jaws theory, where it's like we don't see the shark until like a long time into the movie, and that shit freaked me out as a kid. So I think if they do it correctly and they just give us winks and nods to Pennywise without showing us the full creature until later on in the season, I think it can work, and I'm here for it, because you don't need the clown face. You really don't, to be scared of Pennywise. Once you get that clown face, it should have an impact. So I think by leaving it for later in the season, it can be done very well. Especially since we saw so much of him in the movie. So you know what he looks like. You know what his clown face looks like. So I feel like if this came out before the movies, maybe you'd want more of Pennywise as the clown. But I feel like with the movies having come out before this, you can get away with not showing the clown form as much.
Also, in the books, he doesn't jump to clown form right away. He also always appears as something else that's scaring the kids before he takes his true form. It's like he needs to continue to feed until he becomes his true form. And as he's feeding through town, he gets stronger and his visuals get stronger and all of that. But
I want the clown.
guys, I know you want the clown.
I want the clown. We are
to me, the clown
out of
is
the bag.
edging. Yeah, the clown is like, I hate how the internet's fucked my brain, because I'm just like, we need to be edged for 8 episodes and then we can release, and the release is a fucking clown. It's just like,
I guess that's the way that we'll end this episode.
Clown edging.
Clown edging. And with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in for the first episode of It Welcome to Derry on Unbinged. For everyone, make sure that you guys are tuning in, like, subscribe, so you don't miss a single episode of everything else we have coming. We've got lots of fun stuff coming too for Halloween, for lots of other things just outside of shows, but make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow along. I am Sam Holt, and for Alfredo Brown, for Jagger, for Koff, it's the last episode, so let's go.